Okay, we're here to deal with the cannabis industry in Barbados, or as it is termed here, the medical marijuana industry. We'll be looking at this from a security provider's perspective. This industry is in its infancy here, and to be quite honest, it provides some new and exciting opportunities for security providers in this country. Now, the security required for the protection of this industry is very specific and very unique. First of all, there are several aspects, several verticals within the industry, ranging from the cultivation through to the processing, distribution, be it dispensary or exportation to third parties as a finished product. It obviously represents a significant foreign exchange revenue for the country. But as I said, we are focusing on the opportunities for the security provider. As a security provider, this is sort of an innovative and out of the box type challenge, because the whole protective framework has to be basically solutions based. You know, this is not about providing an officer to sit in the corner of a shop or to guard a cultivated area and running in a couple of intrusion fire alarm systems, maybe an access control, and doing off-site monitoring of all these facilities or all this equipment. Probably backed up by some sort of a response. That's your normal thinking. But you got to look at it from the industry standpoint, from the product standpoint, and from the security standpoint as well. So we at Olympian Security Solutions have this holistic approach, not only starting with the actual provision of the solution, but going backwards to a point where, as consultants, we can advise and guide practitioners through the very stringent and rigorous certification processes. All right, so what we're looking at is, as I said, the holistic approach, whereby we're starting from the consultation phase and going right through to the implementation phase. Now, the Barbados Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority has a very extensive website on which all of the guidelines and legislations pertinent to this industry are listed. You get detailed information, but it is not particularly focused on any particular vector within the industry, because as a licensing authority, they have got to provide generalized guidance to all practitioners, whether they be cultivators, transport agents, processing people, or dispensary. So that information is going to be very general. They're going to put some very specific and stringent requirements for security. However, they're not going to drill down into how those requirements are supposed to be implemented. It gives a general framework of what the security requirements are. So our job is to look at that and to actually then determine what you need based on your particular activity within the industry and guide you from there. Okay, so we're going to look at it in a very specific way. Let's start off with the consultancy stage. The Barbados Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority will specify certain security requirements. Now, in your submission or your application for licensing, you're going to have to put forward a series of standard operating procedures, which are called SOPs. You're going to have to provide them with some sort of a business plan. The SOPs can be integrated into that business plan, or but you need to provide some sort of a document which has not actually been formalized to the licensing authority for them to have a fairly comfortable and reasonable posture with your application, and to be confident that you are going to implement the necessary security procedures, the necessary financial procedures, necessary transportation procedures to safely process and operate with this product. Marijuana is now legalized in Barbados for the purposes of medical treatment. So we in a way are ahead of the US market, because although in the US certain states have legalized cannabis for the purpose of medical use, and in some cases even specified quantities for recreational use, this has been done at the state level, but it is not at the federal level. So they have a unique situation in which because it's not legalized federally, and banks and armored and security companies are federal, there's a little issue with transactions, with the uses of bikes. Even some security companies don't want to get involved because of their connections with bikes and the overlaying federal regulations that sort of restrict the operation. That is not the problem in Barbados. So there's some extra opportunities in the US for security companies that don't exist here in Barbados, in terms of the movement of money and the safekeeping of money, etc. In Barbados, the banking system, to my understanding, would have no grounds for not processing receipts due from this industry, or receipts received from this industry, or revenue received from this industry, because national-wide it has been approved, which means that the standard courier will be able to transport this money to your commercial banks. So that's one problem with it. The other issue, of course, would be the guarding of the facilities, or the protection of the facilities. All right, so what Olympian Security Solutions starts off by doing is to deliver the consultancy phase, where we will do your, if you have not already done so, your feasibility study. We will match your capabilities, which are your physical assets, your land, your building, against the regulatory framework set out, and design a document which will be acceptable by the licensing authority to actually do the pitch for your license, right? And as you would already know, if you are watching this, you would have already developed a certain amount of interest in the industry, you would know that there are various categories of licensing. They all have different financial, or they all have different cost, and of course there are frameworks within which you can have multiple types of licenses. So the whole thing is to get your initial license, and you're looking at presenting documentation to the licensing authority, to the medical marijuana licensing authority, that you have all of your ducks in a row. You've got your security in place, you have got your product handling in place, you have got your you've got your quality control in place, you've got your packaging in place, you've got due diligence, background checks on your employees, you've got drug testing in place. You've got all of the things required for the safe running of this industry. Remember, we are now dealing with a product that is coming from an illicit area, an illicit area into a legalized area. So there's still this stigma attached of actually dealing with something which was previously an illegal drug, and still is, if not under the framework of that set up by the government of Barbados. So once we provide you with this document, your first of all, your busy work is removed. It's quite a bit of work. You may not have the patience, the manpower, or the inclination to get into all that documentation, all that research, formulation of the document. We put it together. We're not only dealing, we will put together a licensing document for you, not only dealing with the security side, which is probably one of the more important sides, but also the financial side in collaboration with your CFO, or financial team, our financial team who is experienced in making that kind of a submission, will actually help formulate the financial proposal. We will obviously submit the security proposal. We can also submit the other areas like the transport proposal, which is technically part of the security proposal, but considered separately under the framework. And we can even get into things like your distribution, etc. For those not getting in, we can advise on the startup costs and the kind of things that you need to know so you don't get caught with your pants down financially or operationally with this project. So you may want to go ahead and do it, but it's not going to be easy. Practitioners in this business have to realize they will need some help. They need to engage consultants. They need to engage security. We provide a professional service from qualified personnel. We've got people ranging from civil engineers, accounting, cybersecurity, customer service, the whole range of services that will be required for this industry.